This is a final goodbye to Destiny, a top trending video in the Destiny category for a few months now. I wanted to watch and react to it and give my opinions, so let's jump right into it.
It's been 10 years. You start to forget
These lines are big laugh.
the things you should remember. And you can't stop remembering the things you should forget.
Dr. Seuss once said, "Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory." This is true for a lot of things. There's been many times in my life when I didn't realize how good something was until it was over. It had me reminiscing back on the memory, wishing things could have stayed that way forever. Destiny is not one of those things. My name is Batty Shogun, and I'm here to talk about Destiny as a casual experience. Now that Destiny's pretty much over, I'd like to take a look back on the franchise. See all the things it did right, all the things it did wrong, and find out why I stuck with it for so long.
Nice.
The year is 2013. You just got done watching Vanoss Gaming's Best of Black Ops 2, and you've never laughed harder in your life, but then suddenly, an ad plays. A futuristic spaceship touches down on the moon and quickly flies away to reveal 3 people wielding advanced firearms. A little spiky robot appears and says some shit about the moon. The man standing front and center replies with a cringe remark.
I wouldn't want to live here.
Dying here is much more likely.
The dialogue sucked ass, but this shit looked awesome. Eventually, they start shooting shit and it looks even cooler. Cut to Venus and they're on some speeders just gliding past the landscape. More shooting, cut to Mars. They're fighting this big guy and, oh man, what's he gonna do about that? Oh my god, he's running straight at him. Oh my god, he's gonna die. He's gonna die, he's dead. Oh my god. Oh my god. Did you see that? Did you see that? Holy shit. There was literally nothing cooler than this back in the day.
Yes,
and the
this
game
was
was
the
slated
shit.
to release the following year on September 9th, 2014. This was the most
peak.
hype surrounding a new IP since Halo. Makes sense considering it's the same guys. I had to get my hands on this game, and when I finally did, I didn't play. I think I made it like halfway through the first mission and then never touched it again. I couldn't tell you why I never got into Destiny 1. The game just didn't click with me.
Unreal.
Can't tell you
dude.
what the game was like in its prime.
Not based.
Tons of people sure can. This was my childhood game, and my favorite game of all time, even with the shortcomings. Nothing will ever capture me like this game did. We started one of the best FPS games in a long time. Favorite game of all time. I've been playing Destiny since it came out. I've spent countless hours completing strikes, raids, Crucible, all over the solar system. I've made some awesome friends, some whom I call my dearest friends and fellow guardians. It's 2020, about to hit 2021, and I can't imagine how different my life would be without Destiny. Eyes up, Guardian. I'd eventually come back and play Destiny 1, but my journey as a Guardian starts with the color red.
The Red War. Nice. That's a good time to start.
The Destiny 2 beta was one of the first betas I ever played, and it's still one of the greatest introductions to a game I've ever seen. Load in, boom, the tower from Destiny 1 is getting fucking destroyed. Some big dude is trying to take the Traveler, and we gotta stop him. Spend some time defending the tower and realize it's futile. We gotta go straight to the source. We get launched onto his ship and clear waves upon waves of enemies. After making our way through what seems like an endless vessel, we finally make it to a landing pad and meet the man himself. Alright, it's time to kick some ass. Oh shit, what's going on? Oh, he's kicking the shit out of us. Yeah, but we'll make it out of this one with the main character. And then he kicks your ass off the ship. Buy the full game, pussy. Like, damn, this shit went hard. I had to see what my brother thought of this. He didn't like it. What? How could you not like this, bro? I don't know, just didn't like it. So that was it. I mean, if my brother didn't like it, it must have been bad. I guess I won't buy Destiny 2. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a call.
Bro, you gotta buy Destiny 2. This shit is awesome.
That day, $60 left my bank account. and it was still one of the best purchases I ever made. Turns out that intro was just the start. Run up to the shot of the Traveler and just start killing everything. We got our abilities back, baby. Going through the European Dead Zone and just taking in these incredible landscapes. Then we go to Tightening. Did you guys hear that? Once again, just take a look at this shit. I'm telling you, Destiny has some of the best... Nah, what the fuck was that? Some of the best areas in any video game. Jesus Christ! Back in 2017, this was like the scariest shit of all time. Finish up Titan and boom, we're on Nessus. Here we meet the best character, Cade 6. It's not even close. I cannot wait to see what they do with him in the future. Take us to IO and once again, just look at it. This campaign was like that Destiny 1 trailer all over again. And eventually we make our way back to Earth, and it's finally time to take on the big bad. With the leaders of the Vanguard back together, Ikora, Zavala, and the best one, Cade 6, we were finally ready to reclaim the Traveler. We stormed the ship once again, cleared through waves and waves of enemies, and take down the boss and save the Traveler in an extravagant spectacle. We had finally beaten the campaign.
So we built a dick.
Now what?
Now we go outside. Like in real life.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything to do in the endgame of Destiny 2 on launch, so I stopped playing for a while. I wouldn't be back for a bit, so while I'm on break, let's talk about the gameplay.
Miss IO, yeah.
Destiny's gameplay has changed a lot over the years, but there was a point in time where shooting enemies was the main form of killing them. In more recent years, especially with the new prismatic subclass, it feels more like a game about abilities that happens to have shooting mechanics, rather than a first-person shooter that has abilities on the side. I can't be the only one who thinks that shooting things is more fun than whatever this is.
I mean, you can make builds where you just shoot weapons, then you're not forced to use the abilities.
And I only feel this
really
way
good
because
too.
the gunplay is so good. Coming from the creators of Halo, it's no wonder that that's the case. I've never played a PvE game where killing the enemies felt so satisfying. And all the enemies take a page out of the Covenant's book. Grunts, grenades, suicides, snipers, beefed up guys, all with a few unique mechanics. None of this is particularly new in the FPS space, but I can't say this variety is something that's all too common. And it's not like the abilities aren't fun to use. The main problem is that they're too good. It should be more like a grenade that takes out a group of enemies every once in a while, rather than something that you can spam infinitely to the end of time until everything in the game is dead. At this point,
Well, the criticism I have with that is like I said before, you could use just weapons and run around and clear any activity just fine. Like, you don't have to use the abilities. The abilities are there because this person came into the game late, but if you were there from the beginning, all there was for so long was just using your weapons. So they finally developed and built on the subclass systems more and build crafting and made the abilities a lot better. So that way you don't just have to run around using your weapon. You know, at this point in time, if you'd been playing since the beginning, you'd be like 4 years deep and you'd be like, I'm really just running around spamming my hand cannon and my SMG for the, 10,000th plus time. And it just gets monotonous, right? So they added the abilities for that reason. You don't have to use them, and the weapons are technically more powerful in some ways. If you're talking about like power weapons, like literally shoot a Gallahorn at something, it's like way more powerful than any melee in the game, But let's see what else they have to say.
why would I shoot my gun ever when I can dodge melee, dodge melee, dodge melee, dodge, dead? As it stands, you can only build your Guardian around what abilities you're going to use, and then choose certain guns that complement that. Why can't I choose what guns I'm going to use and then choose abilities that complement the guns? So let me just finish off by saying this. I like the gameplay in Destiny a lot, but Bungie does shooting best. So I wish they'd focus more on that rather than the abilities they don't know how to balance. And, oh, hold on, I'm getting another.
I strongly disagree with that. The abilities are balanced, have been balanced so many different times, the buffs and nerfs. I've been reading and covering all of these twids for so long now, that what they do is they tend to go through a wave of time where they make like a particular type of ability really strong to sort of get the feel for what the community likes, and you get to use, trip mines for a while, and then trip mines are nerfed and adjusted, and then other things are made more powerful. And as it stands right now, build crafting requires a ton of awareness of how you use the aspects, how you use the fragments, and creating a gameplay loop that suits the activity. And you can run around and spam and shoot, shotgun melee, or just run around punching things like crazy if you really want. But it's also because you've, spec'd into that and made like intentional decisions versus just like you know, wandering around and just hip firing your SMG and not having to think about things too much. I'm actually a really big fan of the abilities, and I really like the build crafting. I understand why some maybe just want the focus on gunplay, perhaps, but the build crafting in Destiny 2 is getting more epic, especially with the addition of Prismatic, in my opinion.
That call. Bro, you gotta buy the Forsaken expansion. This shit is awesome. That day, $60 had left my bank account.
Forsaken, this was the one of the best ones for sure.
Before we get into Forsaken, we gotta talk about these two. Curse of Osiris and Warmind. They're both ass. Hop into the Infinite Forest and play the same shitty level 200 times and don't
Those
even
were
get me
terrible.
started on
That's
Warmind.
very
They spend the whole
true.
campaign hyping up this super AI that's gonna like destroy the entire galaxy or some shit, and then we finally meet the
Warmind
thing
was
and the
good, though.
campaign's over. I'm
Curse of
serious,
Osiris
this
was
guy says
terrible.
like 4 words and then the campaign is done. Turns out he was a good guy or some shit. Fuck these 2 expansions, they suck dick.
Let's throw Curse of Osiris under the bus. Let's you know, Warmind was much better.
Luckily, this next one is actually good. Destiny really needed this expansion to be a hit, or we wouldn't even be here today. They even got my favorite character, K6. Oh man, I can't wait to see what they do with him. Oh no, K6. K6? Ultrasoft is mine. Yeah, they killed the best character. I mean, they had it in all the trailers and shit, that's how they got people to buy this expansion, but you know, Destiny, I think this was the one exception where people would have been fine with a fake out, but it's okay. Anyway, the rest of the campaign...
No, actually, narratively speaking, everyone said that it would be such a huge cop-out if Bungie did that, and that Bungie was really struggling with telling compelling stories. And the reason why is because you get constant repeat characters coming back again and again and again and again. Just to throw a random name out there, that, you know, Tannix, for example, that never seems to freaking die. So to actually tell a compelling story where we lose someone that's meaningful to basically everyone was the reason why they went with that. And they actually, like, if they had gone back on that and made Cade come back, people probably would have been upset. And they kind of did with the final shape, but then they also then killed him off again. So that was kind of a weird plot twist in some ways.
Campaign is just hunting down the dudes that killed K6, the best character. There's like 7 of them, and each of them has their own unique mechanics. And you go around the Tangled Shore just killing them one by one until we finally get to Uldrensov, and he's like, in love with his dead sister? What? But then it turns out his dead sister is actually an evil god, and now we gotta kill this thing, and then we do? And then we finally get the one-on-one with Uldrensov. Fucking kill that guy. Shoot him dead. Kill that guy. Kill that fucking guy. Yeah! After the campaign, you unlock this secret area called the Dreaming City, and all this shit is so cool. And
This
I'd be
was
telling
epic,
you to
yeah.
go play it right now if they didn't take it out of the fucking game. So yeah,
They didn't take the
everything I've
Dreaming
talked
City
about
out of the
so
game.
far isn't in the game anymore. Red War campaign, Curse of Osiris
Those are
campaign, Warmind campaign, Forsaken campaign, none of these
Campaigns
are
are
in the
gone, yeah.
game. You may start to ask yourself, why would they do this? Well, the excuse given by Bungie is that it takes up too much space and messes with the balance. Yeah, your headquarters takes up a lot of space. What if we just sunsetted that, huh, Bungie? This is honestly one of the worst decisions I've ever seen made in the video game space. I cannot believe they did this and have not gone back on it. So yeah, if you wanted to play anything I've talked about so far, Bungie said
They did. It was one of the worst decisions ever, and it hurt them a lot. But they have gone back on it to some degree, like unsunsetting and reissuing old weapons back. And then they did make sure that they said that they would never do it again. But it definitely would be cool if there was the great like unvaulting or like the reverse sunsetting moment. But honestly, these campaigns were, I mean, Curse of Osiris can just stay sunset, in my opinion. You know, if we give fair criticism about this stuff, we need to say, like, if a piece of content is bad and then gets sunset, removed from the game, like, that was a good thing. You know, it's not, we can't be like, this was trash, but I want to keep it in the game. You know, it's like, well, if it's trash, then just get rid of it.
you can have this instead. Have fun with that. And while we're on the topic of removing things, let's talk about light level. Back in the day, you started at 10 power after getting booted off the ship. Some of the most fun I had in Destiny was building back up to that 300 power you started as when you selected your character. Sure, light level may just be part of a number go up fallacy, but seeing it increase really made you feel like you were getting stronger. There's a right way to do gear score and a wrong way to do gear score, and this was definitely the right way. Not like it matters anymore. Today, you start at 1900 light level, and you want to know what the max is? 2000. Congratulations, Bungie, you've removed 95% of the progression from your video game. And light level doesn't even fucking count in the camp.
To be fair, I understand that you might like making the number go higher, and he even mentioned that as well. But the monotonous power leveling over, at this point in time, we're at 10 years now, it just gets old, you know? Like, the power leveling should be a very small part of Destiny and not like the main part. And it's not going to sell people on the game for years and years and years because it's just monotony. It's not even making it doesn't make you actually more powerful. Like, you could just make the number larger. Like, you could just keep creating these like gameplay loops or these achievements that mean nothing. So it's pointless to just keep increasing the power. I like that they removed that. Actually, I understand that it might be frustrating starting a new character and I guess not getting to really build that character up from truly nothing, but I'm not interested in that. I like the power where it is right now, where it's removed. I like the ability to focus on the other elements of the game.
Pain anymore, so let me ask you this. What is the fucking point? To gatekeep you from doing the hardest content, you might as well just put a timer up on screen and make you play for that long. What's the point of me playing now if my light level is just gonna get raised by itself later? I think I've gotten more free light levels than I've earned light levels. You know why Final Fantasy XIV is so good? It's because you have to play through all the campaigns before you can get to the end game. There's like 200 hours of free content in that game. Destiny, you could have had the same thing, but no, the only thing that matters is the new expansion, but now we're not releasing anymore, and fuck you. Let's talk about the next expansions. Shadowkeep was the last expansion to not add something meaningful. I guess you have these finishers, but I mean, come on. And we're back on the moon, but it's red this time. Once again, we spend the whole expansion hyping up this big bad. It's the darkness, guys. That's like the opposite of light. Only for him to say like 4 words at the end and that's it. But I mean, at least this one leads to something. Turns out he was the big bad of Destiny the whole time, and he would be the final boss. But before we get to that, we gotta dick around in the snow. Beyond Light was the first expansion to add an entirely new subclass, the Stasis subclass. I didn't play Beyond Light on release, and let me tell you, this shit was underwhelming. You throw out a few icicles here and there, oh boy. On the PvE side, Stasis sucked, but Crucible would never be the same. Beyond Light was the most forgettable campaign of Destiny 2. I couldn't tell you what we were doing or why we were doing it. Something fallen, something kill the boss. Okay, the campaign's over. Both Shadowkeep and Beyond Light get a certified mid.
I mean, I might be a little bit biased here, feel free to disagree, but I really liked Beyond Light. I thought Beyond Light was cool. The introduction of darkness, the introduction of stasis. It being overtuned to sell it was kind of cringe and a weird take from Bungie, but Shadowkeep was also a lot of fun too. Like, this was like the beginning of like a pretty consistent fun time in Destiny for me, and I actually really enjoyed these expansions. I'm not gonna say they were like peak experiences like Forsaken level, but they were, you know, they were above mid in my opinion.
Not good, not bad. What's next? I can't remember. Oh yeah, it's the...
Yeah, this was good. But hopefully he likes this, come on.
The Witch Queen was the first expansion to introduce the Legendary campaign. This was advertised as the real man's Destiny. You think the campaign's too easy? Well, try this, pussy. For once, Destiny had struck a balance between tough and fun. If you were using the Void subclass, that is. See, Beyond Light introduced subclasses 3.0. You see, before, you had to pick a certain path in your subclass, and that would decide all of your abilities. Now you can mix and match however you want. This is when the game turns into that ability spam I was talking about. But this is what the campaign was balanced around. Since Void was the only 3.0 subclass when Witch Queen released, it was the only subclass you could use for that campaign. Even so, the campaign itself was a lot of fun. The legendary difficulty, as well as a pretty much brand new subclass that was fun to use, made it stand out. There wasn't a whole lot to do after the campaign though. Since Forsaken, it always felt like there was more to do, like beating the campaign was just getting started. The Witch Queen was not like this. Even returning for Solar 3.0, it still felt like there was nothing to do. Just run around the big-ass throne world and kill enemies, I guess. But in the end, Witch Queen was really good, and this next expansion was the most hype I had felt yet. So what did I think about Destiny 2 Lightfall?
Oh, God.
It fucking sucks. We got a brand new subclass in Strand, and this thing's actually pretty cool. You get a grappling hook, you can tie enemies up. This thing would have been awesome if you could actually use it during the campaign. Instead, you get certain parts where you get to have fun with the new subclass, and then as soon as you think it's getting good, they take it away from you. It's like this throughout the whole campaign, and then you finally unlock it for real after you're done. They also introduced a brand new enemy, the first real new enemy since the launch of Destiny 1, and it sucks. This is the most annoying enemy I've ever had to fight in a video game. All you do is run away and shoot this guy for 10 years, and some genius decided that they take reduced damage from non-precision hits, but this guy moves around like he's on fence, so it literally takes minutes upon minutes to kill this guy. This is also the point where I changed my opinion on legendary difficulty. Sure, the campaign was still kinda hard, but at a certain point I realized it just wasn't fun. I liked that higher difficulty when it was condensed into something like an exotic mission, not when it was stretched out over the course of 3 to 5 hours. But maybe that was just because the Lightfall campaign sucked. And the story, oh my god, don't even get me started on the story. The story in Destiny sucks. I know the lore heads are going to be at my throat for this one, but I'm talking about the story told through gameplay. I would consider a campaign story in Destiny successful if I have a reason to kill the final boss beyond the fact that he's the bad guy. So let's take a look at how many expansions in Destiny 2 hit that mark. Because he stole the Traveler? Nope, nothing. Because he killed Cade 6? No, definitely not. Nope, no. If my only motivator is something that this guy did 10,000 years ago, or that he's going to eat the whole universe or something, I don't care. It's about what you've seen them do, not what they're going to do. You don't go kill Bowser because he's going to kidnap Princess Peach, you go kill him because he did. None of these bosses did anything in the main campaign to make me have a reason to kill them. From my perspective, I'm the dickhead. And I'm not going through lore entries or watching this 10-hour My Name is Bife video to figure out what's going on. Why can't you just tell me through the game? But this isn't something that started with Destiny 2. Oh no. This started all the way back in Destiny 1.
Going all the way back now. Let's go.
Before the final expansion released, me and a good buddy of mine went back and played through Destiny 1, and I couldn't believe it. This game was ass.
Dude, I won't lie. Alright, let's see what loot we get.
You hating on Destiny 1? That's sacrilege.
Let's go. Lovely. So happy. I didn't even want anything, actually.
Talk about not knowing what's going on. I couldn't tell you why we did anything for the first 3 campaigns of this game. It was so unclear, we accidentally played through all 3 of them at the same time. I'm serious. We didn't know we were playing through the first 2 expansions until like the last 2 missions. I'm actually incredibly surprised that Destiny ever got off the ground with a start like this. And so, Destiny 1 can be categorized by the shitty part and the good part. These last 2 expansions might as well have been Destiny 1. The Taken King and Rise of Iron were the Destiny that I had come to know and love. Hey, but there's one thing I can't fault Destiny 1 for, and that's the fact that you can actually still play all the campaigns in that game. But now that we've gotten the backstory on all of Destiny, we can finally talk about the final shape.
Alright, here it is.
The final shape campaign was advertised as having dungeon-like complexity. I didn't talk about dungeons and raids yet. These are the peaks of Destiny 2, the cream of the crop. Let's start with the big one. Raids are a 6-person mission where the community has to figure out how to progress. You and your fire team have to make it through hours of puzzles, encounters, and bosses, all with unique mechanics. If even one person doesn't know what they're doing, you're bound to fail. These are the things that Destiny does best, and I've only got one gripe with them. You need 6 people. I can get a fire team of 3 on a very good day, and you want me to get 6 people to play this shit-ass game. It's just not gonna happen from a
LFG. Trust. Now Fireteam Finder. It works.
Most players. So I'll give you my 2 solutions. Number 1 is match.
And yes, I know people in the chat are going to say that's toxic. and that people on the LFGs are toxic. It's not the best solution, but it's the only solution if you want to actually get into the raids. And then eventually, with enough time, you're on LFGs, you meet some cool people. Not everyone, like, think about this. Not everyone on the LFGs is toxic or weird or gonna be a lame experience. I met a ton of cool people on LFGs when I was using them back in the D1 days. People that were longtime friends that extended long after LFGs. Usually you just go to LFG to meet some people, and then the people that are weird, you don't add them on your friends list, and the people that are cool, you add to your friends list. And then you do that for long enough, and eventually you got like a friends list of like, 30, 40, 50 people, and then you can, message them, join a clan, and launch a raid. Like, it takes time, but like it works. Like, the system does work to some degree. I think Fireteam Finder obviously works really well for this, but of course, you have to be willing to just put yourself out there a little bit, and sometimes people can be very crazy on the LFG and the Fireteam Finders.
Making that requires you to have a headset plugged in, so everyone has to communicate in the lobby. At least let me throw myself into the fire if I want to. I've only ever completed one raid, that being the Leviathan raid, and I did it through LFG. And LFG is just... ugh. Solution number 2 is to make the raid soloable when the next raid comes out. That means if you want to experience the new raid, you still need a team of 6 people, but if you want to take on the older raid solo and experience that content, then you still can. They're not perfect solutions, but there's still something that allow more people to experience the content I know the devs put so much time into. Dungeons don't have this problem, as they are 3-player experiences. They're basically like mini raids, and they may not be as hype as raids, but they accomplish the same thing gameplay-wise. Once again, they are given unique mechanics and scenarios that shake the gameplay up. These used to come free with expansions, but then they added the yearly dungeon keys, so now you have to pay an extra $10 to play these. Needless to say, I haven't been able to play a new dungeon in quite a bit. Exotic missions are the final point in this golden tricon, and they're my favorite out of the 3.
Let's
They're
go.
much more streamlined than raids and dungeons. They've got some jumping puzzles, and sometimes it's difficult to find out where to go, but it's mainly about getting from point A to point B in 20 minutes and killing everything on the way. There's nothing like that rush when you've got 1 minute left on the clock and the boss is almost dead. These are some of the most tense moments I've felt in a video game, and one of the best exotic missions would be found in the final shape.
I agree with his opinions on that stuff. On exotic missions, dungeons, and raids.
Okay, for real
The
this
raid
time.
FG part.
We've made it to Destiny 2, the final shape, or should I say the final expansion, because this is pretty much it for Destiny. The devs will assure you that their future non-expansion content will be enough to keep you playing, but there were already a ton of people on their way out the door after the final shape. Now you're telling them there's no more expansions? We'll see if Destiny is still getting updates this time next year. So for now, I'm considering this the end of Destiny. So how did it do for a final send-off? Well, let's jump right into it. Oh, I'm sure that's a one-time thing. I said let's jump right into it. Let's jump right in. Yeah, there were some server problems on launch, but once I could actually play the game, it was incredible. I didn't actually like the campaign that much. Turns out dungeon-like complexity was just picking up the right glyphs and killing 5 bosses instead of 1. But strangely enough, the campaign didn't matter this time around. It was the things that surrounded it that made it so great. The best area we've gotten in years, a new subclass that combines everything up to this point, the lead up to the hardest raid in Destiny history. Holy crap, it's my idol Gate 6! And the final 12-person event Excision that allowed everyone to take part in finally killing the Witness and ending the Light and Darkness saga. And finally, we got our very own exotic class pieces, tied to one of the best exotic missions. I haven't felt like more part of a community than I...
A lot of people on Reddit would disagree with that being one of the best exotic missions. Everyone's still salty about Duel of Destiny on Reddit.
Did in those few days after the final shape released. I can't believe I'm saying this, but after it was over, I wanted to keep playing Destiny. I've never felt that way after an expansion. I was even ready to do all the seasonal activities, but over the course of the next week, I was slowly brought back down to reality. Seasonal activities aren't fun. They never have been. This was still Destiny, and Destiny was still ending. There's no more reason to play anymore, and it makes me ask myself, why did I keep playing Destiny? I keep thinking back to that Destiny 1 trailer, and what I thought of it the first time I saw it. The concept is so cool. Space traveling soldiers with fantasy abilities, how could it not be? But the execution of that concept leaves a lot to be desired. For every right, Destiny makes 2 or 3 wrongs. The gunplay is fantastic, but now it's overwritten by abilities. They decided they were going to stick with Destiny 2, but they removed content anyways. They pivoted to seasonal content, but it seems like it came at the cost of better expansions. At its best, Destiny is one of the best games I've ever played, but at its worst, it makes me wonder why I even started playing in the first place. I'm not one of those guys who sold their souls to Destiny, but I put a decent amount of time into the franchise. I met some people that I'll always cherish. I made a ton of memories that I won't forget, and I had a lot of fun along the way. But Destiny was always one of those games I felt like I had to come back to, through the good and through the bad. So I'm glad that Destiny is finally being put to rest, so that I can finally rest. I'm glad that I can finally stop playing Destiny, but I'm also glad that it was a part of my life. So thank you, Destiny. Thanks for everything.
Nice. There you have it. That was a final goodbye to Destiny. Some interesting points he had to make, and he was sort of recapping his experience over the last 10 years with Destiny. Not unfortunately, I mean, obviously if they want to leave Destiny, that's fine, but Destiny is going on forever. I mean, they're just going to keep making content for this game. And I know people speculate on, you know, well, it's not going to be as big as it was, insert some time period. And that's fine. Like, Bungie has a multi-billion-dollar business that they've developed with Destiny. So even if that becomes a singular billion-dollar business, like, that's still pretty lucrative. I don't know if anyone out there owns a humble billion-dollar business or anything. Like, it's not like a downgrade. Like, the franchise is worth over $3 billion. If it loses its popularity and it's only worth $1 billion, if it's only worth $500 million, $500 million, like, dude, the game still goes on. Content still gets made. It may not be as epic and as big as it was in previous times, but the game is always going to keep going on. There's no way that this thing dies off completely. Even if it started to dwindle to such a level that Bungie felt like they couldn't give it the love, like the TLC it deserves, what I meant to say, then they would just sell the IP to someone. They would just sell the IP to EA or something. Literally, they would just sell it. But, like, the game goes on forever, whether it's Bungie or whether it's some other studio. It doesn't die. Like, it's already, the IP has already been developed. Like, it's not getting thrown in the trash. So Destiny goes on forever, and we'll wonder how long you'll be playing for. I wonder how long I'll be playing for. You never know, but I'm having fun playing it, and it was a cool video.